This Saturday is UFC Fight Night Paris, Renato Moicano versus Benoit Saint-Denis. And this is going to be my full card predictions. And this card is incredible. Great fights from top to bottom. Great matchups, exciting fights. And on top of all that, I've said this for a while, the UFC crowd in Paris is the best crowd in all of MMA. But we're going to go through every fight on the card. I'm going to give you a breakdown and prediction. Let's jump into it. The first fight on the card, we have Bolaji Oki versus Chris Duncan. And this is a tough fight. Honestly, Bolaji Oki is really explosive, has some good kicks. He didn't look all that great against Timby Kwamba in his UFC debut, and Kwamba stepped in on short notice. He really did, and he didn't look great, and it was a split decision. Now, I thought Oki won the fight, but it was still a very close fight. You know, Oki in this fight showed really fast hands. You know, he looked good on Dana White's Contender Series in the fight before that. Got a KO against a guy who's 5-1. But Chris Duncan is actually underrated, in my opinion. You know, I didn't pick him against Manel Torres, but I picked him against Yanal Ashmoose. I feel like a lot of people were counting him out there. He has a win over Charlie Campbell on Dana White's Contender Series, which is a solid win. And Chris Duncan is really well-rounded, has some decent grappling, has some decent striking. But I think the difference in this fight is going to be Oki's speed. I think his speed and power is much better than Chris Duncan's. And Oki, while he was getting taken down a little bit and out-grappled a little bit by Timmy Kwamba, he had some decent scrambles, and he did take Kwamba on short notice. So he's going to be prepared for Chris Duncan. Duncan is primarily a striker, and he's kind of slow. And just watching them side by side, like going and watching Oki's fight and then going and watching Chris Duncan's fight, I think Oki is substantially faster on the feet. And the only thing I really worry about is Oki getting out grappled. But Duncan doesn't even have the best entries at all. I mean, he'll mix it in, but he's not super explosive. You know, his hands, you know, he doesn't really have a big power threat on the feet to set up the takedown. So I'm going to say Bolaji Oki gets it done. I do worry about his stamina failing him. Chris Duncan can go 3 hard rounds, but it's not like he's a cardio machine. But I'm going to say Bolaji Oki gets it done. I'm going to say via decision. I'm going to say he beats Chris Duncan on the feet, stuffs some takedowns, maybe faces some adversity late in the fight. But I just think he's too fast, too powerful for Chris Duncan. Maybe even gets a finish against Chris Duncan. But I'm going to go Oki via decision. Next fight on the card. Oh, what a barn burner this one is. Now, this isn't a bad fight. We have Nora Cornolle versus Jacqueline Cavalcanti. Cavalcanti literally just fought not that long ago. What was it? 3 weeks ago. 3 weeks, 4 days. So I guess it'll be 4 weeks by the time she actually steps in the cage. She just beat Jousset Nunes. Good footwork, decent striking. I mean, she's not great, but Nora Cornolle isn't that great either. I mean, beat Melissa Mullins in a fight that she was losing, landed a nasty knee to the body, and then finished her via TKO. Before that, beat Jocelyn Edwards just barely. Got out-grappled in that fight quite a bit. Cornolle's striking is okay. Her grappling is subpar. She's really solid in the clinch. But I think Cavalcanti, her footwork, she's hard to kind of track down. She has decent stamina. She has decent striking. She's 7 years younger. I mean, Cornolle is 34 years old, almost 35. Cavalcanti is 27 years old, has a reach advantage, has a height advantage. I think Cavalcanti is going to do basically what she did against Jousset Nunes. Basically just stick and move. She's going to pump the jab, circle, kick, circle some more. Cornolle's going to be looking for big power shots, but not really able to find them. And I just think Cornolle isn't that good. She's 8-1. She's 35 years old. She's much slower. Her path to victory in this fight is to make it dirty, get in the clinch, look for nasty body shots, slow Cavalcanti down, take her down. I don't think she'll be able to. I really don't think she'll be able to. Melissa Mullins isn't that good. Jocelyn Edwards isn't that good, and she had basically wars with them. Now, Cavalcanti doesn't have the greatest wins either, Zara Farron and Jousset Nunes, but I just think she's better overall. So I'm going to go Cavalcanti via decision. Next fight on the card. We have Daniel Barez versus Victor Altamirano, which, I mean, this fight's actually a banger. To be honest, this fight's an actual banger on the prelims. This is a tough fight to pick because you look at Daniel Barez. Daniel Barez lost his last fight against Jafel Filho. He got triangled. He almost finished the fight early with nasty body shots, and Jafel Filho has excellent BJJ. Fight before that, he's outside the UFC. I think he took that fight against Jafel Filho on short notice. And Victor Altamirano on a 2-fight losing streak. But he hasn't lost a horrible opposition. Felipe Dos Santos and Tim Elliott. Before that, he beat Vinicius Salvador, Daniel Lacerda, not great wins. Lost to Carlos Hernandez via split decision. Look, Daniel Barez is nasty on the feet. He's a finisher. 13 out of 16 wins via finish. And, you know, he has nasty power. And I think Altamirano is awkward on the feet, so he's kind of hard to figure out early, but doesn't have great grappling. I think he's going to try to grapple Barez. And I think Barez's grappling is good enough to defend Altamirano's shots. And plus, Altamirano is one of the few flyweights who doesn't have great cardio. Not that Barez does, but I think Barez is just going to be more powerful on the feet. And I just think he gets it done. I'm going to pick Barez to get this done. Altamirano just isn't great. He's kind of sloppy on the feet. He slows down, and his grappling isn't that great. I mean, I think it was against Felipe Dos Santos. He had to grapple quite a bit. And while it was a close fight, split decision, I think Barez is much bigger than Dos Santos. I think he's much bigger, much stronger. Felipe Dos Santos is kind of small for flyweight. He's probably be in a 115-pound weight class if there was one for men. And yeah, I'm gonna pick Daniel Barez to get it done. I know he's a former Dana White's Contender Series guy who lost, came back on short notice against Jafel Field. You got submitted in the first round, but had a great performance. So I'm gonna pick Daniel Barez. I'm gonna say first round KO. I'm going to say he knocks out Victor Altamirano on the feet. He has nasty body shots. He has fast hands. I think he gets it done against Victor Altamirano. Next fight on the card. Oh, I'm going to butcher this name, but at least this is an easy fight to pick. We have Daria Zheleznyakova versus Ailín Pérez. Oh, man. Easy fight to pick. You got to go Ailín Pérez. Zheleznyakova, garbage grappling. Absolute garbage grappling. Arguably lost to Montserrat Rendon. I think I scored it for Rendon in her last fight. And her grappling, you know, against Melissa Mullins outside the UFC. She was getting taken down, controlled. Listen to the opposition she's fighting. You know, she beat Montserrat Rendon, technically, 6-0, okay. Before that, beat a girl who's 5-3. Before that, lost to a girl who's 4-0. Before that, beat a girl who's 7-5. Ailín Pérez, I get it, she's not beating the best opposition either, but at least she's fighting people with actual records. Jocelyn Edwards, 13-5, dominated in the grappling. Lucida Pudilova, 14-8. Before that, Ashley Evans Smith, 6-5. Now that's a garbage resume. But look, Zheleznyakova has garbage takedown defense. Her hands aren't particularly great. I thought she lost to Rendon. Ailín Pérez is physically strong, has good grappling, is the much bigger fighter. I think she gets it done. I'm going to pick Ailín Pérez to get it done via decision. Take her down, control her, beat her up, maybe gas out by the third round. But Zheleznyakova doesn't have great stamina herself. So I'm going to pick Ailín Pérez to get it done via decision. Next fight on the card, we have Taylor Lapilus versus the silhouette of Vince Morales. Great fight, but I got to be honest. I mean, this is a fight that genuinely could go either way. You know, I figured the majority's picking Lapilus, but Vince Morales is actually decent. He has really good grappling. He's a guy that, you know, is a finisher. He's got 12 of 16 wins via finish. You look at his most recent performances, you know, they're outside the UFC. Hunter Azure, he won via Peruvian necktie. He went for that Peruvian necktie multiple times before he finally found it. He has good submission games. He has decent heavy hands, but his striking isn't that good. And Lapilus is coming off a win over Cody Stamann, which isn't great, but outstruck him, was able to defend the takedowns, improve on his wrestling. Fight before that against Farid Basharat. I know it was a loss, but the striking looked good and the scrambling looked good. And also, the fact that he was able to avoid potentially ending up in a submission against Farid Basharat, I think that shows kind of how good his skills are on the ground. Not that they're great. That's obviously the hole in his game. But I don't think Vince Morales is going to be able to just take him down and control him. I just don't think he's going to be able to. Lapilus's takedown defense is only improving. His ability to scramble is only improving. He is heavy on the lead leg. I noticed that watching some of his fights. He's getting his lead leg chopped. And Morales could do that, but Morales is going to want to grapple. He's going to want to shoot the takedowns. He's going to want to control him. He's going to want to push him up against the fence. And I think Lapilus has a better gas tank. Not that I think it's a significant advantage, but I think he has the better gas tank. He can scramble all day. He's hard to hold down. And unless Morales catches him in a sub, I mean, the only way Morales is winning is via sub, in my opinion. And I just don't think that's going to happen. 3-inch reach advantage for Lapilus. Really, you know, dynamic striking attack. Nothing too crazy. Doesn't get too wild. He's pretty technical, but, you know, has a good mix of kicks and punches. I'm going to go Lapilus to get it done. I think this is one of those fights, they set it up for the Paris crowd. Lapilus from Paris, France, to go out there and get a highlight reel win potentially, or just overall, just like a performance to kind of grow the sport over in Paris. They're going to want their guys to win. I think Lapilus gets it done. I'm going to say a 30-27 decision win for Taylor Lapilus. Next fight on the card, we have Ľudovít Klein versus Roosevelt Roberts. Who's making these fights? What kind of sick, twisted son of a bitch is making these fights? Ľudovít Klein is going to destroy Roosevelt Roberts. It's not even going to be close at all. Ľudovít Klein is relentless. He's good on the feet, good kickboxer, good grappling if he needs to mix it in. He's coming off a win over Thiago Moises. On Tapology, they have him as a negative 800 favorite. What do they have him on UFC.com? Let's see if it even show. It didn't even show it. They're showing. Oh no, here it is. Negative 800. That's crazy. That is it's not crazy actually. It's crazy that matchups like that are even being made. But my point is that actually isn't too far off. I'd be shocked if Roosevelt Roberts somehow pulled this off. Every time Roosevelt Roberts fights a decent fighter, he loses. In and out of the UFC for years. You know, he got what was a spinning back head kick KO'd by Bahamondes a while ago. His last fight was against Mateusz Rebecki, where he got submitted in the first round. He won 2 fights outside the UFC, won in Eagle FC, lost to Nacio Bahamondes. Yeah, that was 3 years ago now. Where is the time going? Ľudovít Klein is going to run through him. You know, he's just going to beat him up, man. He's just going to beat him up on the feet. I think Roosevelt Roberts can be competitive on the feet, but Klein can easily mix in the takedowns. I'm going to say Roosevelt Roberts barely survives the first round and gets finished in the second. Yeah, I'm going to pick Ľudovít Klein, get it done. I'm going to say early second round TKO. Ľudovít Klein, 17 out of 22 wins via finish. Great cardio, super well-rounded, can mix in the takedowns, good ground and pound as well. You know, coming off a win over Thiago Moises, coming off a win over AJ Cunningham, coming off a win over Ignacio Bahamondes, which has aged rather well. You know, so I think Ľudovít Klein is leaps and bounds better than Roosevelt Roberts. I think he gets it done. I'm going to say early second round TKO for Ľudovít Klein. Next fight on the card, we have Oumar Sy versus Da Wong Jung. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Look, this is another matchup, honestly. You notice, I'm noticing a trend here. Oumar Sy from France, okay? And, you know, this is a matchup for him to win. What I do want to highlight is in his last fight, he fought Tuko Tokos, who he rear naked choked in the first round. Tokos is brain dead. He's getting out-grappled by Sy. Or is it Oumar Sy? I think it might be Oumar Sy. Now I'm baffled. I think it's Oumar Sy. So he's getting out-grappled by Sy. Or Sy. I don't even know anymore. I don't know why I'm going back and forth. But anyway, he's getting out-grappled by Oumar. And he's yelling to Brendan Allen while he's getting out-grappled. Yeah, he's breathing hard, B. He's breathing hard, B. And then he gets rear naked choked. Like a dumb bitch. Embarrassed himself. Completely humiliated. Cut Tokos. Cut him from the organization. It seems like that whole group. Brendan Allen. Joe Pyfer. Tuco. I think Jamal Hill hangs out with that crew. It seems like they're all the dumbest fighters on the entire UFC roster. But anyway. Now that we mentioned that. That was his last win. That was in his UFC debut. Tukos did take it on short notice, so I'll cut him a little bit of slack. C just likes to take you down, beat you up, and look for submissions. And Da Wong Jung doesn't have great grappling. Got submitted by Carlos Ulberg in his last fight. Lost to Devin Clark. Got out-grappled a bit in that fight as well. Got finished by Dustin Jacoby. C is massive. He's strong. He's a heavy grappler. Da Wong Jung has some decent striking, has some decent offensive grappling, but his defensive grappling is absolute dog shit. So how can you not go Oumar Sy? I think that's how you pronounce it. So I'm going to say Oumar Sy first round rear naked choke. Has a bunch of rear naked chokes. I think all 4 of his submission wins are via rear naked choke. He has like a couple TKOs from back mount. He loves getting your back. And he's like, you know, I could see, you know, maybe if he doesn't get the rear naked choke, I could see Oumar Sy jumping on the back and be like, bam, 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 back shot's dead. And maybe TKOing him, but I see him finding the sub. I think if Carlos Ulberg's finding the sub, I think Oumar Sy can find the sub. So I'm going to pick him to get it done first round, rear naked choke. If he doesn't get the rear naked choke, he's going to get back shots dead, TKO. Da Wong Jung basically has to get a surprise KO to get it done against C, and I just don't see that happening. Next fight on the card, we have Iwan Cutelaba versus Ivan Erslan. The silhouette of Ivan Erslan. This is actually a tough fight to pick, to be honest. I went back and forth on this. When someone's getting KO'd, both are sloppy brawlers. Cutelaba has lost 4 out of his last 5. Lost to Felipe Lins in his last fight. Has a win over Tanner Boser, which is just laughable. Tanner Boser, not great. Lost to Kennedy and Zetchou. Lost to Johnny Walker. Got submitted by Johnny Walker. Got submitted by Ryan Spann. Even Ivan Erslan, like, I watched some of his fight footage from KSW. He doesn't look great. He's kind of technical, but like as technical as he kind of looks with his stance and his striking, he's still rather hittable. You know, I don't know. This is a fight that honestly, like, basically coin flip. Cutelaba has no fight IQ. He's, you know, super aggressive, walks into shots. He does have some grappling. I think he has better grappling than Ivan Erslan. So I'm going to go Cutelaba. I'm going to just pick him to go out there, get clipped, get hurt, start fighting aggressively, and find a shot and KO Erslan. Erslan, in some of the fights that I was watching, he got rocked by a spinning back. He got rocked multiple times against the Rafa guy. One was a spinning back fist that hurt him badly, got TKO'd. The fight before that, I can't even pronounce. The loss before that, the guy I can't pronounce, he hurt him multiple times, ended up going to decision, survived that. So he's been rocked multiple times. You know, Cutelaba's a finisher. Erslan's a finisher. 10 out of 14 wins via KO. But, yeah, he gets tagged. I'm just going to say one of these guys is getting chinned in the first round, but I'm going to go Iwan Cutelaba, first round KO. Next fight on the card, main card. First fight on the main card. We have Ziam versus Matt Frevola. I'm going to be honest. I think the easy pick here, and I don't know why this isn't lining up correctly here. Oh, there we go. There we go. By the way, guys, do me a favor. Like the video. Subscribe to the channel. We have Ziam versus Matt Frevola. I've kind of been a bit of a believer in the resurgence of Ziam. But Matt Frevola is a savage, man. He's a savage. Ziam on a 3-fight winning streak. Beat Claudio Puelles in his last fight, but split decision. I thought he clearly won it. I don't think it was a justified split decision. I don't really remember, even though I just watched it. Beat Jai Herbert, outstruck him. Beat Mikhail Figlak. Last loss was to Terrence McKinney, where he got submitted, I believe, in the first round. Matt Frevola took some time off after getting brutally finished by Benoit Saint-Denis. But it's on a savage streak before that. KO'd Drew Dober. KO'd Otman Azaitar. KO'd Ronaldo Valdez. Lost to Terrence McKinney. Both these guys got finished by Terrence McKinney. One via sub, one via KO. Look, you know, my gut wants to pick Ziam because he is younger. He's 27 years old. So he's, 7 years younger than Matt Frevola? But he's just, I don't know, he's kind of weak. Like, I feel like he's just weak. I don't know how any other way to describe it other than just kind of weak. He is improving. His grappling is a hole in his game. Matt Frevola can mix in the grappling. He took down Benoit Saint-Denis. Now Saint-Denis was able to out-scramble. I don't think Ziam has those scrambles. I don't think he has that strength to get up off bottom like Benoit Saint-Denis, just kind of bulldozing his way out of bad positions. And also, Matt Frevola has a massive power advantage. He will sleep you if he catches you. He took some time off. You know, Ziam does have a reach advantage. I'm going to pick Matt Frevola to get it done. You know, the level of opposition, look at who he's fighting. Benoit Saint-Denis had a decent, I know he got finished in the first round, had a decent performance up until that point. Beat Drew Dober, beat Otman Azaitar. Where Ziam is, you know, beating Claudio Puelles, who's just a butt dragger, basically. So I'm going to pick Matt Frevola. I'm going to say Ziam survives. I'm going to say he survives the fight, but I think it's going to be a close fight on the feet. I think the takedown from Frevola will be the difference. And I also think the power of Frevola will be a difference. I could see him, you know, Ziam kind of landing some jabs and some straight punches. Frevola clipping him, dropping him, getting on top of him, not doing a whole lot of damage, but enough to stay there and win the round. I'm going to say Frevola wins a highly competitive 29-28 decision scorecard, opening up the main card in a pretty decent fight. I'm picking Frevola. Time off. I still think he's good. He was ranked in the top 15. At one point, I wanted to see him fight Paddy Pimblett. I'm going to pick Matt Frevola to get it done. Next fight on the card, we have Morgan Charriere versus Gabriel Miranda. Look, let's see. Hold on. Let's see what they say here. Yeah, -600. -600. It's insane that we're still getting these types of fights. Morgan Charriere is way better than Gabriel Miranda, but I wouldn't completely count out Gabriel Miranda and his mustache, okay? Does have amazing submission ability, but I just don't know. I don't think he pulls off a submission. He's more, Miranda has all 17 of his wins are via finish. 16 of those are via sub. He could find a submission. I mean, he's coming off a win over Shane Young, which is absolutely meaningless. So Shane Young is a scrub. Lost to Benoit Saint-Denis, but lost on short notice. Beat some like kind of shitty guys outside the organization. 5-5, 3-1, 8-7. There's his last 3 wins outside the UFC. He's 34 years old. This is a setup fight for Morgan Charriere to get it done. Charriere is coming off a loss against Chepe Mariscal. I actually thought he won that fight. It was a close fight, but I thought he won. And I don't think Miranda can turn it into the, dog fight that Chepe Mariscal did and catch Morgan Charriere in a sub. I think Charriere is the better striker. I think he has better movement, more diverse attack. Miranda, if you look at him fighting even Shane Young, striking looks like shit. It just looks slow and labored and not super tactical, kind of winding up, telegraphing a lot of shots. Morgan Charriere, very good movement, good kicks, nasty kicks to the body. I think it was against Manolo Zucchini. Yeah, it was against Manolo Zucchini. Finished him with a body kick. Hurt him badly. I think it hurt him badly with a teep, and then when he got up, slammed a body kick. I think Miranda's going to be open for those shots. I think Charriere is going to be tagging the body because he knows Miranda's going to try to grapple. And I see Charriere catching him and finishing him. I'm going to pick Charriere second round TKO. Way better on the feet, good movement. And I just don't think Gabriel Miranda is good enough with that, even though he has a great mustache. I don't think he gets it done. And again, this is another one of those fights. Look where he's from. Where are they at? They want him to win. They're trying to build that market. So Morgan Charriere gets it done. I'm going to say early second round TKO for Morgan Charriere. Next fight on the card, we have Kevin Jousset versus Bryan Battle. This is actually a tough fight to pick, to be honest, because this one could go either way. Kevin Jousset has exceeded all my expectations. I picked him against Kenan Song. I think I actually picked Kiefer Crosby against him because at one point I was watching fight footage for him, and he lost to he had a split decision, a razor close split decision against a 39-year-old who hadn't fought in like 4 years. Jousset. This is Jousset. I don't know what fight it was. Let me see if I recognize the name here. I don't remember the name off the top of my head, but like in the last like 5 fights outside the organization, he damn near lost to a 39-year-old who's coming off a 4-year layoff. But he's looked decent in the UFC, but not against the best opposition. Kenan Song's a decent win. He's good in the clinch. His kickboxing is really solid. Good leg kicks. But Bryan Battle's super well-rounded himself, man. And I think he has the grappling in his back pocket that he can mix in. The only time Bryan Battle has really lost is against Rinat Fakhretdinov, where he got taken down and beaten up. Since then, Gabe Green, brutal KO, first 10 seconds. Since then, submission over AJ Fletcher. Since then, was beating Angelosa, beating him up. Angelosa was losing, got barely eye-poked, and quit. He called him out for being a pussy after the fight as well. Look, this is one of those. This is actually a matchup that could go either way. I'm actually pretty excited for this fight. I'm going to go Bryan Battle. I think Jousset might have a little bit more technical kickboxing, but I think Battle has a power advantage. And I also think Battle can mix in the takedowns. Jousset kind of stands really tall, and that leaves you susceptible to takedowns. And Battle will mix it all in. He's on a run right now. Angelosa's really, really solid. Honestly, I think he's a bit underrated. And Bryan Battle was just working him over, and he has good power. Jousset's not really known for like crazy power. Good leg kicks, but I think he stands too straight up. He'll get taken down. He'll be a little bit nervous about the takedown. I think he'll be able to work his way back to his feet. But I think he'll be a little bit nervous about the takedown, and that will lead to openings on the feet for Bryan Battle. I'm going to say Bryan Battle via decision, competitive fight, but I think Bryan Battle gets it done over Kevin Jousset. Next fight on the card, we have William Gomis versus Joanderson Brito. Look, I was talking about, these guys from France getting easy matchups. The UFC said no, not to William Gomis, not to William Gomis at all, because Joanderson Brito is an absolute savage with crazy finishing ability. Gomis is coming off a win over Yanis Gamori. That was a nut shot. That was considered a body kick TKO. Split decision against Francis Marshall, which wasn't great. Majority decision over Jarno Aarons. Not great opposition, where Brito is just savagely beating everyone. Beat the dog shit out of Jack Shore. Beat Jonathan Pearson, submitted him, but was actually losing that fight. Was getting out grappled there. Beat Weston Wilson, which isn't a great win. Beat Lucas Alexander, which isn't a great win. But he's running through these guys, While they're not great wins in terms of opposition, he's doing what he needs to do. He's running through them. And William Gomis, don't get me wrong, he's super well-rounded. And I think he's a bit bigger than Joanderson Brito, to be honest. He's got a height advantage. He's got a 4-inch height advantage, but not much of a reach advantage, which is crazy. Only a 1-inch reach advantage. But I think Joanderson Brito's physicality and his power and his finishing ability has submission threats. I think Gomis is going to be too slow on the feet. I see Brito going out there and knocking him out. I'm going to pick Joe Anderson Brito to get it done first round KO. I think William Gomis could get it done. If he wins, he's going to win like via decision, but Brito finds a way, man. He always finds a way. He's explosive. He's fast. He's improving. He's only 29 years old. I know Gomis is 27, but I just feel like this is one of those matchups where Joe Anderson Brito is going to go out there and knock Gomis dead. And I want to see Brito kind of make his way up to that top 15. I think with a win here, he kind of propels himself to kind of earn, you know, the streak that he's on. He's going to earn a big fight. But I don't see Gomis getting it done. He's going tit for tat with Yanis Gamori, who doesn't even belong in the UFC, and gets a TKO only because he kicked him in the nuts. I don't think he's going to be able to do that to Joe Anderson Brito. The way to beat Joe Anderson Brito is to out-grapple him, which is what Jonathan Pierce was on his way to doing, and he got caught in a sub. I don't think Gomis is a better gritty grappler than Jonathan Pierce. So I'm going to go Joe Anderson Brito. I'm going to say first round KO. I'm going to say late first round KO. Probably lands something with the hands, rocks him, just starts swarming him, smashes him, and finishes him. And gets the finish in the first round. Next fight on the card. This is a banger co-main and main event combination here. We have Nassourdine Imavov versus Brendan Allen. A middleweight matchup. I think, let's see. Nassourdine ranked number 4. Brendan Allen ranked number 8. Love this fight. Brendan Allen, said, I'm not taking this fight unless I'm the main event. And then the UFC said, yes, you are. You're going to take this fight, whether you're the main event or not. Banger matchup. Nassourdine Imavov coming off that TKO win over Jared Cannonier, which is basically better than Brendan Allen's entire career. Brendan Allen coming off a win over Chris Curtis, which I thought he lost the fight. Got basically gifted a split decision off of Chris Curtis tearing his hamstring in the last 10 seconds. And the judges somehow scored that as damage. I thought it was a robbery. I thought Chris Curtis beat him. Before that, beat the dead carcass of Paul Craig. Before that, beat Bruno Silva. Before that, beat Andre Muniz on short notice. Actually, no, it wasn't short notice. I think it just got elevated to main event as short notice. I don't know how Brendan Allen's even ranked in the top 10. I don't think he's that good. Nassourdine Imavov, meanwhile, TKOing Jared Cannonier. Decision over Dolidze, but could have had a finish there. There was some questionable reffing there. Was beating Chris Curtis before the head clash, which I think, was solidly beating Chris Curtis. Now, it was only a round and a half in. It could have changed, but, what we have, he was beating Chris Curtis much more soundly than Brendan Allen did in a 5-round fight, and Chris Curtis took it on short notice. Lost to Sean Strickland, but took that fight on short notice and had a decent outing there. Beat Joaquin Buckley, which has aged quite well. Now, I know he went down to welterweight. Brendan Allen's striking isn't that great. It's improving. His grappling is where he wins fights. He mixes in the takedowns. He looks to use his BJJ. Now, Brendan Allen, could he out-grapple Nassourdine Imavov? It's possible. Nassourdine Imavov, his biggest weakness is being controlled in the clinch. But I don't think Brendan Allen has the physicality to just kind of ragdoll him against the fence. I think Nassourdine Imavov has been working on that nonstop. He knows that's a hole in his game. He was able to exit the clinch against Jared Cannonier, who I think is much stronger and much more physical than Brendan Allen. And Imavov has really good hands. His striking is much better than Brendan Allen's. And I think he's going to piece Brendan Allen up on the feet. I'm picking Nassourdine Imavov. I could see Nassourdine Imavov finishing Brendan Allen. I think Nassourdine Imavov is leaps and bounds better than Brendan Allen. But I'm going to pick him via decision. Brendan Allen hasn't been finished in a while. He is improving. I'm going to say Imavov just gets it done out striking him. He's going to be stuffing the takedowns. Brendan Allen's going to be diving on the legs. He's going to be looking to clinch. Imavov has been working in the clinch. He's landing good exit elbows. I think he landed like a couple good exit elbows on Sean Strickland in the clinch. Was landing some against Jared Cannonier. I know people question the Jared Cannonier win because they're like, oh, well, Jared Cannonier was surviving and Herzog stepped in. It was over one way or another. It was over in my opinion. So I don't really knock that win. He was going to finish Jared Cannonier regardless. And even so, he was going to beat Jared Cannonier. And meanwhile, Brendan Allen's best win is a robbery over Chris Curtis. So I know MMA math doesn't always work, but you look at their resumes, you look at their skill sets. Unless Allen is able to effectively grapple, because his BJJ is incredible. Unless he's able to effectively grapple, Nassourdine Imavov is going to snipe him on the feet. Super accurate, has decent power. His cardio is a little bit suspect, but it's not a 5-round fight. So unless somehow Brendan Allen creates a scramble and next thing you know, he's on the back of Imavov, 30 seconds into round 1, I don't see how Brendan Allen wins this fight. It has to be a massive, catastrophic mistake for Imavov. Throwing a kick and then somehow falling off balance, slipping on the canvas, and then Allen snatches up his back real quick. It's going to have to be something like that for Brendan Allen to get it done. I think Nassourdine Imavov's going to outstrike him on the feet, beat him up on the feet, straight shots, circle well, avoid the clinch well, stuff the takedowns well, and I think he's going to piece up Brendan Allen. I could see him getting like a third round finish. I think he finished Jarrett Cannonier. It's not right in front of me right now, but I think he finished him in the third or fourth round, if I'm not mistaken. I could see him getting it done against Brendan Allen, beating up Brendan Allen. Brendan Allen was getting outboxed badly by Chris Curtis. Chris Curtis was getting outboxed by Nassourdine Imavov. So I think Nassourdine Imavov wins this fight. I'm rather confident he wins this fight. I'm picking him via decision, 30-27 decision for Imavov. Next fight on the card, the main event. I'm hyped for this fight. Renato Moicano versus Benoit Saint-Denis. This is a heater, boys. This is a great matchup. And as much as I say it's a great matchup, Renato Moicano is super tough, man. He got almost finished by Jalen Turner in his last fight. Jalen Turner fumbled the bag, didn't follow up, said it was like PTSD from the Bobby Green finish. But Renato Moicano comes back and finishes Jalen Turner after he gasses out. The Drew Dober fight, Renato Moicano almost finished. I think it was on a takedown attempt. Drew Dober kind of reversed it, slammed him on his head, almost finished him there, but he came back and won the third round. I think it was in the second round, won the third round. A fight before that, beat Brad Riddell, submitted Brad Riddell. Last loss was against Rafael Dos Anjos on short notice, relatively short notice, where he got absolutely demolished for 5 rounds. But Benoit Saint-Denis, man, I'm a big believer in Benoit Saint-Denis. I know people were saying he's a fraud. He got exposed by Dustin Poirier. He fought Dustin Poirier with staph infection, was basically dominating up until he gassed. Now, that's a bit of an exaggeration, but was out-grappling him with ease. Has excellent jiu-jitsu. His striking is improving. He has nasty power, nasty body kicks. I'm trying to remember what fight it was in. It wasn't Matt Frevola. I think it was against Thiago Moises. He was smashing Thiago Moises with body kicks. And everything Benoit Saint-Denis throws, he throws with intention to kill you. And Renato Moicano, his striking's okay, but he's primarily a grappler. And if you go back and you look at Benoit Saint-Denis, he's hard to hold down. Thiago Moises couldn't do it. Matt Frevola had good entries, good takedowns, couldn't hold him down. Benoit Saint-Denis was ragdolling Dustin Poirier before he got clipped and KO'd, but was ragdolling him. And I just think Benoit Saint-Denis keeps it on the feet. I think Benoit Saint-Denis is super explosive, nasty kicks, power in both of his hands. You know, I just don't, where's Moicano going to get him? Is Moicano really going to sub him? I don't think that's going to happen. So I just don't see how Moicano wins. I know people have kind of taken a liking to Moicano because he shouts on the mic and whatnot, but I think he's overhyped. I think it's crazy. He's ranked number 11. Benoit Saint-Denis ranked number 12. That's crazy. I know I saw that earlier. But I just think Benoit Saint-Denis, from the second this was announced, you know, when you hear a fight announcement, you're like, okay, this guy's going to win initially. Then you start to reevaluate and think about it. From the very first second this fight was announced, I'm like, Benoit Saint-Denis has this fight. Because Moicano, can he pull it out of the fire? Sure. Is it a 5-round fight? Could Benoit Saint-Denis gas? Sure. You know, he gassed in his last fight, but he had staph infection. Is he coming into this fight with staph infection again? I highly doubt that. So, basically, you're going to need Renato Moicano to take down Benoit Saint-Denis, control him, and hold him down for 5 rounds. Or until he gasses and then find a sub. Jalen Turner almost finished him in the first round. I think Benoit Saint-Denis would finish Jalen Turner. So, I have to go Benoit Saint-Denis. How am I going to pick him? I'm going to pick Benoit Saint-Denis via TKO. I'm going to say second round TKO for Benoit Saint-Denis. I'm going to say he's going to be smashing body kicks. He's going to be landing good punches. He's going to be sprawling with power. Renato Moicano is going to sprawl. And it's going to be Renato Moicano is going to shoot. And Benoit Saint-Denis is going to have one of those sprawls where he just drives his head right into the canvas. And I think Moicano by the end of round 1 is going to be very beaten up, already bleeding a bit. And I think in the second round, Benoit Saint-Denis really goes after him. And in the second round, Denis gets him out of there. I'm going to say second round TKO for Benoit Saint-Denis. I cannot wait for UFC Paris. I think this is where Moicano's streak kind of ends. I don't think he can hang with the elite of the elite at lightweight. And I know Benoit Saint-Denis still doesn't have that kind of staple win. But man, he starched Matt Frevola. Fight before that, starched Thiago Moises. Fight before that, starched Ismael Bonfim. Fight before that, beat Gabriel Miranda. Okay, he's not that good. But great streak up until he lost to Dustin Poirier. And that fight was kind of thrown together on short notice. That's a bit of an exaggeration. He went in with staph. He still had a good showing before he got finished. He took a decent amount of time off. There was talk of him coming back rather soon. It's been over 6 months now. He's coming back against a favorable matchup in Renato Moicano, who's going to have to grapple. I think it's going to be hard for him to keep Benoit Saint-Denis down. Great scrambles, powers his way up. And I think eventually he finds Moicano on the feet. I'm picking Benoit Saint-Denis, second round TKO. Can't wait for this card. Let me know who you guys are picking in the main and co-main event. I'm very curious who you guys are picking. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and thank you so much for watching.